Hey everybody, Kimmel is back. James Comey, the government shutdown looms and AI tools are trending. Yes, that's right. Algorithm is no longer just Spanish for some groove. Welcome back to Talk Show. All right, let's kick it off. Start with some U.S. news, as we like to do. For me, the biggest one was the past week, and today is unfortunately Wednesday, October 1st. So this is my first episode of October. We're going to catch up from the last sort of 10-ish days of September. Sorry about that. Wow, busy with work, I'll tell you. Really cool research project, though, so hopefully I'll talk about that in a future episode. Love, love, love it. But talking about James Comey, basically, he's been charged with false statements obstructing congressional proceedings in, you might remember, the 2020 testimony about his leaks. About leaks, period, not his leaks. I don't know, somebody's got leaks. So Master Comey, basically, my man, he had an amazing video response. Suddenly, inexplicably, his knees have stopped working. And how could you possibly bend the knee if you just don't have any knees? If they've ossified. I mean, in all seriousness, like, James Comey, like, that is real inspirational stuff. If you haven't watched the video, just watch it. I mean, he looks right into your soul, and he says, "Don't be afraid. I'm not." Ooh, oh. I absolutely got chills, and I might have a little bit of a crush on James Comey. It was amazing. Okay, many of you are aware, or if not, here you go. Government shutdown looms once more. I thought I just heard this story, and I checked. Yeah, we did just hear this story. Unfortunately, last time Trump was president was our last government shutdown. It seems to be happening a little too often under certain leadership. But what do I know? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's surprised Dems and Repubs are not getting along. And that means that basically the shutdown is imminent. In case, you've forgotten, and many of us Americans have shorter memories, especially in this fascinating world of digital distraction and all the other fun stuff that's happening. So you may have forgotten what a shutdown is like. So let's talk about it. Here's where it starts. So number one, I think the immediately most impacted people are federal workers, obviously, and contractors. Basically, if you were paid by the federal government, oops, nobody's getting paid. That's going to suck. So think about that. Like, there's many ripple effects of that, but like, how does consumer spending change immediately if paychecks are delayed? To me, that's really obvious. And especially, like, there are markets in the United States where there are far more federal workers than in other places. Like, if you're in the middle of Nevada, you may not have as many federal workers as opposed to, like, being in D.C. or maybe in Virginia or Maryland. And interestingly enough, I learned a little bit that parts of Texas can also be heavily populated by federal workers. So that's a big deal. If you didn't notice, and there's already like hundreds of thousands of federal workers that are out of jobs. That's not good. Plus, we are not adding jobs as we expected. There's a lot of talk about the private sector will just pick up these jobs. No. Bullshit. So the shutdowns basically also cause like market financial instability. Let me rephrase that. Sort of financial market instability is what I'm just trying to say there, which we don't have enough of already. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the benefits should still go out. So, like, you should, in theory, still get paid, but the support services, like call centers, like all the digital things, I don't even know if they still exist, but they all slow down because we don't have enough of that already. Oh my gosh, we don't have enough slowdown there. So then, layer on top of that, food aid, another one that I think people are not calling out enough, recognizing the impact of this because some of us live in a bubble where food is not an issue. Food aid like SNAP could be interrupted entirely because we don't have enough kids struggling to eat already. Oh, gosh, it just makes me so angry. But wait, there's more. Student aid. Oh, yeah, you like your FAFSA? You FAFI boys? No. college loans on the way? Yeah, like a hawk, baby. Watch that shit, because you may not be going to school next semester. Whoopsie doodles. Veteran services. This one cuts so close for me, because my grandfather is a World War II veteran. Rest in peace, pep pep. My dad is a Vietnam veteran. So there's a very important part of the support networks for any veteran when it comes to like veteran services. So like the VA, I mean, the VA doesn't just like immediately close because of a government shutdown, but the support parts of it. So like you can still go to the VA, get medical care supposedly, but the issue is that like the call centers processing payments, all that crap, all slow down. Because we haven't slowed down the VA enough already. This is a fun one. Anybody dealing with, I don't know, kids, or maybe you just like to travel and explore and learn. National parks and museums, unfortunately, might just close outright during the shutdown. That one I didn't think about and didn't really even put together until I started researching this episode. So that means like straight up closure. Apparently there were parks with garbage piling up because simply no one is cleaning it. And you don't even realize that that stuff's happening in the background. Whoops. Another one that you should be potentially concerned about is air travel. Uh-oh. So when the government is shut down, I don't know if it's all, some, but certain TSA and air traffic controllers basically have to work without pay. Because we haven't screwed the airlines enough, and and the FAA and TSA, we haven't messed these people up enough. Fluff enough, snuffle up, I guess. We just are screwing these people over and over and over, and I'm so sorry. It sucks. It makes me very angry. It also makes me like really nervous because like the pressure on our air travel system right now is really bad. And air traffic controllers are understaffed in the first place. It's not like a hire them up, one and done type of job. Like, there are very specific requirements to be an air traffic controller. So don't believe any of that. Are they qualified? DEI, absolute malarkey. Anyone who has worked hard enough to get hired as an air traffic controller has to have met the same criteria. And you have to be young. You can't be 45. You can't be heart attack age. You can't. They won't hire you. There is an age requirement, like a maximum age limit to the air traffic controller jobs. Or at least there was once upon a time. I don't know if that was thrown in the trash. Anyways, there's a lot of pressure on air travel. It's going to get worse with a big old government shutdown. Hold on to your butts, folks. Passports and visas. Haha. Speaking of air travel and travel in general, right? So passports and visas, I remember this from the last shutdown. Basically, like, it may suddenly take weeks and weeks or months and months for you to basically get your, like, passport renewal and other things, like visas, all that stuff. It could take you forever, or it might just not happen. It might get lost, and you have to keep resubmitting. And what sucks about that is frequently you have to send the government originals. So it's really dumb. All right, let's keep it going. He thought I was done. Oh, God. Federal funding for infrastructure, like transportation projects, might suddenly stop. So, like, you got a big federally funded highway project happening near you? That might just be pause. Question mark. Here's a really super duper one that I think all of us are thrilled to hear about. Thanks a lot, RFK Jr. and your fascist jazz. CDC and NIH. They will maintain the critical services, thank the heavens. Whoever's still there, I'm so sorry. Please hang on tight. But these two, like, organizations basically pause important stuff like research and disease surveillance. Does that not cause panic? Anybody not panicking about that part? And then grant reviews. You know, I'm sorry, that may seem a little bit less important, but like, if you're like waiting on grant money, maybe that's your job is dependent on it. That would be scary for you too. Yeah. And then last but not least, food safety. Come on. Oh my gosh. We live in the past. We live in colonial early America now. So anyway, food safety, basically not anymore. So boil all your food in ivermectin right now. Jeezy peasy. Okay, so it's bad, right? It's bad. As James Comey says, like, remember all of this when it comes time to vote. Remember that MAGA Mike Johnson refuses to swear in Adelita Grijalva's special election win. I hope I'm saying your last name right. It just looks so lovely to pronounce that. Grijalva. Adelita Grijalva. That's a great name. Oh my God, it's got some like chew to it to just say. Anyway, just remember, folks, like MAGA is like desperately protecting an elite ring of pedophiles. Where are the Epstein files? Don't normalize this Sharknado nonsense. Last comment on the political news, and this is the one time I'm hopefully going to say this stupid man's name. Trump literally said that Tylenol causes autism. Oh, God, Tylenol, which is made from paracetamol, which I'm sure Trump would pronounce parsley tamarindol or something stupid. Thanks, Obama, for responding to that, basically calling the comment violence against the truth, right? Remember when Obama was president? Goodness. Again, don't normalize this. The things that are being said by the current administration, by leadership, are crazy. I don't know if you saw Hegseth's recent presentation. Basically, they called all the top brass to the, like, they recalled everybody from all over the world, which is, in the first place, enormous and scary and a tremendous security risk. Stupid. Huge security risk. So they do all these things. Bring everybody in. And Hegseth then, like, puffs his chest, walks around, no fat generals, blah, blah, blah. But really, like, the point of it is that they basically told the American military forces to be ready to, I can't believe I'm going to say this, be ready to wage war? Question mark? And it seems to be just against American people, because all the things that they say are happening are not happening. There's no invasive force. Like, Democrats aren't evil. We're just people like y'all. And I sometimes don't even really identify with Democrats anymore, and I feel more like a Bernie Sanders independent. But it's all crazy, and I'm going to try to stay focused and keep cruising. But at the end of the day, this nonsense is insane. Do not lose sight of that. Let's remember when politics could be ignored and it was boring. Wow. All right, let's move right along. Let's take a jaunt down to ye old economy way, where events have occurred. The Fed cut rates for the first time this year, so that's a nice 0.25 point sliceroo, quarter of a point of pizza sliced off of the old pepperoni. So basically, the justification is that, like, weakening labor market data made them go, oh my gosh, let's cut the rates a bit. There's a lot of split opinions about this. Some folks think that you needed to go deeper, right? I'm sure, I mean, based on what our orange leader is saying, right? I'm sure they wanted to go as deep as, cut all the rates, throw the rates in the trash. And then the other side of the opinion is that it's, like, not justified at all, because we're still dealing with inflation, like consumer prices are up and et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, Fed cut the rates. There you go. Wall Street Journal cited some University of Michigan study, and actually this study is being cited by tons of different places. I saw Jon Stewart talked about it. I think I saw Chris Hayes, and there are a few other notable names basically talked about this. So calling out like a notable drop in consumer confidence in September. So the study basically says, hey, everyone's anxious about inflation and job stability, right? Makes sense. I hinted at this before. The business that I work for just completed like a huge research project. I'm pretty proud of it. It's pretty cool. But basically it examined like employer versus employee sentiment, engagement with jobs, looked at like generational differences, and you might be surprised, or not at all. I was kind of not surprised, but you might be surprised. Certain generations, like especially young workers, a really large percentage of young workers basically plan to switch jobs in like the next 6 months. A lot of them don't have confidence that they have the skills to succeed in the future. So we're going to watch this, report back. I'll talk a little bit about this. It's our second year of doing the research. It's really cool, but we basically can compare year over year, and that's interesting. Okay. On Friday, few days ago, sorry, almost 5 days ago at this point, U.S. equities squeaked out some itsy weensy, teensy weensy, little bitty, itsy bitsy spider small gains. So it's likely due to the rate cuts and people being hopeful. But slightly calmer inflation readings at the very end of the week. It's still a really mixed bag in the economy unless you're incredibly wealthy. So you probably don't care. You're definitely not watching me. And you're probably just paying tribute to the orange banana. Hopefully you don't have Cheeto dust on your lips. All right. Other noteworthy topics. Charlie Kirk assassination has a suspect who's been charged. I will not say anything else on the subject. That has happened. ICE is going real crazy. Real crazy. So part of our main story tonight, and we'll lead into the main story, but one of the big ICE taculars, ICE raids that happened recently basically was in Georgia. There's a Hyundai EV/battery plant. Hyundai. I never know how to say it. Honda. Not Honda. That's a different brand. Hyundai. I say Hyundai. I don't know. There you go. So they have basically an EV/battery plant in Georgia. And ICE basically arrested 475 people, like almost 475 people. And a lot of these folks are South Korean nationals. So that's scary in the first place. South Korea is a very friendly, sort of Western-friendly culture and country. So, like, why? Oh, right. Stephen Miller is an absolute piece of shit. But now, like, think about this. Like, if you were South Korea, why would you invest in the USA at all? Why would you do it? Why would you send skilled workers when the Steffi Miller goon squad just going to show up and deport everybody? Like, farms are crashing. Hopefully you saw the last episode. We talked a little bit about soybean stuff, but it's insane. It's totally insane. So speaking of ICE, here's the real main story for today. The Dallas ICE field office was quite literally attacked on September 24th. I'm going to be careful about what I say. I'm just going to comment on, I'm not even going to comment. I'm just going to tell you the facts as I have read them, brought together by a bunch of different sources, just trying to get at least a mixture of reliability. I hope this information is accurate. It should be. This is reported by major news sources like Associated Press, Reuters, et cetera, et cetera. So here's what happened. Gunman opened fire from the rooftop, terrifying, targeting the building and a transportation van. Essentially, the shooter, who I will not name, you can find names and things if you really need that, but the shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Horrifying. Authorities found written notes, a plan of attack, some other stuff, and supposedly the shooter expressed hatred for ICE agents, specifically saying they're folks that show up to collect a dirty paycheck. That's coming from social medias. Scary part about this is that, like, certain outlets like Reuters basically report that there were shell casings, and one of the unused bullets essentially was inscribed with anti-ICE. I'm going to take a quick second. We're going to take a sidestep here. I just want to call out, I am going to express an opinion, which you're welcome to disagree with. But to me, anti-ICE doesn't quite ring true to me. As a coworker would say, it doesn't quite pass the sniff test. So why am I skeptical about this? Well, I gotta be honest, like, if you don't like ICE, like, if you hate ICE, and you're not gonna shoot people if you don't hate them. Like, you gotta be incredibly angry. Like, there must be some incredible force driving you to be so violent. But, like, if you're that angry, you're not writing anti-ICE on a bullet. You'd write something like "fuck ICE." Like, you'd write the worst, meanest crap you could possibly write. You wouldn't go anti-ICE. Like, to me, that seems suspect. That's all I'll say. I can't really I won't go any deeper than that. But to me, that seems suspect, right? The motives are still ambiguous. I'm sorry. The shooter died. The awful part about this, of course, it's all awful, but there were ICE detainees that were shot. So completely innocent people who were abducted, taken from their workplace, courts, court dates, like trying to immigrate legally, all this other stuff. These folks basically were scooped up, taken, and then got shot at the ICE facility. And that's horrifying. And it's tragic. And I didn't see enough places report on this and really talk about like the scope of this. So what could it really mean? It could mean that we're going to deal with even more heightened security. There was a ton of politicization of partisanation. I don't know, all the different Asians about the conversation, right? People trying to say, no, it's the left. No, it's the right. No, he was a Republican. No, he's donated money to the Democratic Party. I'm not really interested in that part of it. Essentially, a horrific accident happened, but it really underlies, that's the wrong way to phrase it. It basically brings to light, resurfaces, that underneath all this churn happening right now, people are pissed at ICE. ICE morale supposedly is horrifically low. I don't know if that makes you feel better at all. I don't know if it makes me feel better. But here's the thing, like, this is not the first violent ICE incident in Texas even this year. Like, America, like, we're big mad, y'all. We do not tolerate fascists. Our last stop today, I'm going to take you to Reddit. This is a little something that I ran into, and it caught me off guard. Maybe you see this too. I want to just bring this to surface and talk about this really quickly, because there's a lot of Redditors out there. Many of us millennials are heavy Redditors. Heavy Redditor. Many Gen Zers also are Redditors, simply because of that lovely adjacency as we all grew up in the world of technology. But there's some wild stuff flying around on Reddit. I struggled to find credible information, but what I can find is that there are comments appearing with Antifa labels. So I saw this, and at first I panicked. I was like, oh my God, Spez. There's no, like, have we gone so far already? I panicked. I was like, you Reddit mother effers. No way did you go this far. So good news, they did not. Haha. But a new meme has arisen, dear friends. This user is suspected of being part of a terrorist organization called Antifa. Please report any suspicious behavior. So let me just scroll down a little bit so that you can see what some of these comments look like. Beep, boop, bop. So this is basically what I saw. Well, you can't see my mouse. Perfect. That's fine. So this is an example of the comments that I saw. Like, people are adding this flair almost as a joke. So it has become a meme. It's trolling to a certain extent. Maybe not trolling, but basically trying to rage bait a little bit. So if you see this, don't panic. Reddit is not labeling people Antifa, and you're going to get in some kind of trouble. This is basically a form of, I'm going to call it political protest. So people are basically putting this Antifa comment in the comments, in their responses on Reddit. I get it. I really do. I sort of panicked a bit. Like I said, we're still trying to find new ways to flip off the fascists. I can't help but think about this a little bit, though, in the grand context of things. You know, as I said earlier, my grandfather fought and died in World War II. He was there in Europe fighting the Nazis here in the Purple Heart. And I think it bears a reminder of what Antifa really looks like. Here it is, folks. This is what Antifa really looks like. Now, this is a random shot of Arlington Cemetery. There are many tributes to World War II. I believe there's a Marine Corps memorial statue. Everyone who fought in World War II is a member of Antifa. Like every World War II veteran. So if you're still out there and you're still alive, I salute you. But like every single grave in the World War II section of Arlington is a member of Antifa. When they're trying to label anybody out there as Antifa, we're Americans. You're damn right we're anti-fascist. Like that's like in our blood. That's part of our DNA, is to fight against authoritarian, totalitarian, fascist powers. Okay, so here we are, basically at the end. The point I want to make to you all is that we are Americans. Together we are strong, and we've always been against fascism. Quick side story just to wrap things up here. once upon a time, as a young lad, as part of my church youth group, myself and a huge group of kids basically did domestic mission trips, visiting sort of struggling areas in the States. That's right, dear friends of West Virginia and Tennessee. This bleeding heart liberal took time out of his summers as a kid to come down to you, fix houses, help the community. Did it essentially 4 years in a row in different places. 2 of the years, one year was West Virginia, 1 year was Tennessee. My sister did an extra 5th year to host one of these trips. The organization was called Group Work Camps, which kind of aged like milk, so it's a kind of a rough name. But the purpose and what we did with this kind of partnership in bringing these various church youth groups together was awesome, right? Really giving back to the community in places that needed it the most. And West Virginia is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Tennessee was also like super cool. Some of the nicest people I've ever met basically lived in Tennessee. And you know what else I found in basically both of these places? Other Americans, good people, just like me, different background, different stories, but one beating heart, one guiding, driving principle, basically of community, camaraderie, and kinship. So when I hear this administration talk about Portland being war-ravaged, go look it up. There's no war-ravaging. Like, Portland is a lovely place. Why isn't that being reported anywhere other than the White House administration saying that that's what's happening? So it's literally just like LA, where there was like barely a square block of nonviolent protest, and then the administration goes, oh my gosh, everything's on fire, we need to save everybody. Remember what I said at the end of the last episode, right? Maybe 1 in 10 of us took a waltz down to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and started knocking on the door. They would have to listen. Just saying. Thanks for watching.